last time I was in this garage, we were installing sliders on my Toyota Tacoma. Obviously, I don't have the Toyota Tacoma anymore, but we do have the Ford 350 Tremor. Now, what are we doing today? We're installing the Transfer Flow 40-gallon gas transfer tank. Now, you might be asking, Yaro, why do you need a transfer tank, or why do you need an auxiliary tank? Well, I got this tank for 2 reasons, or 3 reasons that we'll get into here in a moment. But let me first tell you the difference between a transfer tank versus auxiliary tank and why you would want one or the other. The difference between a transfer tank and an auxiliary tank is this. The transfer tank actually comes with a pump. Well, it doesn't really come with it unless you actually buy one or package it together, but it comes with a pump, which means you can actually pump gas into anything such as your own vehicle and or other vehicles and or your other toys. However, with an auxiliary tank, you are not allowed to do that. By law, you are not allowed to add a pump to an auxiliary tank. With an auxiliary tank, you actually connect it to your current fuel system of your rig. So therefore, since it's already connected, you are not allowed to have a separate pump attached to it by law. If you watched my first video when I first got the truck, you know this is a gas. It's a 7.3 liter V8 gas. This is not diesel, which right now I'm actually pretty happy because the price of gas is cheaper than diesel. But the reason I got this transfer tank is really for a few reasons. Number one, very simple to install and very little drilling and connecting to the current fuel system. I didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want to worry about that. And you might say, well, the auxiliary tanks have this little switch where you can turn it on and off, and that's true. But again, it goes back to my first point, simplicity and in design and install was very important to me. I chose the Transfer Flow tank versus any other brand for a few reasons. And again, disclaimer, I am not getting paid to say this. I am not being sponsored for Transfer Flow, even though I feel like they should. But the reason I chose it is because for me, it was super crucial to be able to put it in and have the bed cover closed with the pump installed. So I wanted to have a system ready to go with my current setup without having to change, get rid of the bed cover, and we're gonna be doing quite a bit of traveling, so I hope you are subscribed and you get to look at our travels. But it was super crucial for me to be able to keep the tank here and have the bed cover closed and not have it in the way and or have to change my configuration. So if you're looking at a system, Transfer Flow or an auxiliary tank, you can find systems much cheaper. We're talking about $400, $500, $700. But those systems generally are taller by design, and therefore that's why they are cheaper. This one is very low clearance. It's cleared on my Ford 350. I don't have to worry about anything else, and again, goes back to simplicity. That being said, let's get to the install. We'll show you everything that we're going to be doing to install this thing. Should be easy. We might have a few speed bumps, we'll see, but I'll get to show you how we install it and what it looks like after we get it in. So, looking at the design, they want these shims here, but we're gonna fabricate some of our own high quality rubber shims here. First of all, it's gonna be a little bit better on the bed, and second of all, it'll be less wear on the metal. So we're gonna go with these that we're making. We're gonna drill some holes here. We're gonna use these as the shims and then continue off of the design that's instructed. Some vehicles, it may be necessary to install the carriage bolt from under the truck. Place one shim on the head side of the bolt before installing the bed hole. So we've marked our holes and we're gonna make our pilot holes to see where they come out from under the bed, and then we'll make our actual drill holes to start installing. right, so the bolts are in. The ones on the driver's side are a little more precise and a little more attention is needed. Here's why. The one on the left, which is the driver's side, there's this support, cargo support channel underneath the bed. And so if you, and that support channel has these holes. I'll show you on the video because I've recorded some of that. They have these holes already, pre-drilled manufacturer holes in it. Now, if you can get the bolt to line up directly and go right through it, your install is going to be a lot easier from the bottom side because there's the gas tank that's right underneath the driver's side, and that makes it a lot harder for you to really reach in there and tighten it. So if you can line that one up, which we did, and get it right through there, and you're very careful with your pilot holes, and you really just give yourself some time to really play with it and make sure you have that that one all aligned, you're going to have a lot easier time on the install. The passenger side, the right side of the vehicle, right or left side, your passenger side, that one's a little bit easier. Even if you don't get it right into the hole, because it's pretty much impossible, just the way that manufacturer holes are lined up, then you have all that access and all that space underneath to work with. So don't worry too much about that one. Line up your driver's side first and let the other ones all measure out, and you'll be good to go. So we're doing that. The next part will be the electrical. After we tighten it, we'll work with the pump, the electrical, and should be done here in the next few hours. You can get this done fast. You can get this done a little slower. It all depends on how precise and how much time you give yourself. So give yourself plenty of time to really not rush and take your time and give yourself a easier install. All right, so the kit comes with all the wiring you're gonna need. However, the one thing that you kind of have a choice of doing is the selection for your switch. The original design is to have this in your dash, and I don't want to make any holes in my dash. I don't really have a good spot to locate it or put it in my dash. So there's this little Y off the main wires that it goes off of, and what we're gonna try to do, and I think that we're gonna be able to do it, is put this closer to the fuel pump. So we're gonna get working on it. I'll show you the finished product and what we end up doing, and hopefully it works out. Well, if you're anything like me, this stuff intimidates you when you have all these wires going all sorts of directions. The cool part is Transfer Flow does include all the wiring that you need. However, sometimes, depending on your rig or your setup, you may have a better option available. So I have the 2022 Ford 350 Super Duty, and on my truck, I have a Upfitter switch upgrade, which just means that I already have pre-wired systems in place for things like this. So instead of having a separate switch, finding a place to put it in, and or more wiring, I really don't need all that. I just need, you really don't even need their wiring, but since I already have it, we're just gonna use the positive negative wire switches to go from the location in the Upfitter switch console to the tank all the way to the back. So this should be enough. So if you're lucky enough to have a 2017, I think, or newer, or maybe you did a mod after the fact on one of your trucks, then an Upfitter switch console or something similar, then you could just use that instead of looking for another location for a switch. All right, so that pretty much sums up the install. I didn't show you every little piece of detail because some of the things like the little electrical connections that have, at the pump and things like that are really self-explanatory and are explained really well on the manual, so you'll have no problems there. But I showed you the major parts, the most important parts. I'm also gonna do a run through with the gas in there and the switch working and all of that. So my transfer tank is full. I have 39 gallons in there or whatever. And my truck is half empty, so I'm just gonna fuel my own truck with the transfer flow tank and show you how it operates. Before I show you that, I'm gonna go ahead and go prep everything, so when I click the switch on, I can just go for the pump. the one thing to watch out for is it doesn't have an automatic stopper. So it will overflow, and it started to. It's a good thing I was watching it. But just keep an eye on it. It fuels really quick. I mean, I had about 15 gallons in 2 minutes. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly right for proportions, but it's quick. I love it. I'm in love with this thing. It's gonna take me so much further when we start a road trip across America. I'm gonna be able to go 700 miles without getting gas somewhere, which means I can fuel up in the low price gas stations and keep going and cruising. Anyways, guys, I hope that was helpful. Hopefully you were able to get encouraged and maybe do it yourself. If you have any questions, please reach out. I check my comments daily. You can find me on Instagram and shoot me a message that way as well. I'm there every day. But anyways, I haven't seen a single video of anybody else showing up how it works and or connecting it to the switches on the 22 Tremor. So like my video, subscribe. Hope you keep watching. Look forward to a spontaneous trip we're taking next week. So video out a few weeks out, and then we're beginning our road trip across America, and I'm gonna go ahead and document every bit of that.